Previously on the Mister. You may best me in many fields, Alesia, but when it comes to handling and shooting long, hard weapons with stability and precision, I have the upper hand. My long, hard weapon can also be used to protect you from the scumbag traffickers who really did come all the way out here to retrieve you, but not on my watch, baby cakes.
Wow!
Yes, his lordship is indeed quite potent.
Yeah. Wait, who?
Yup. Danny tells her gently, as if talking to a child, that all the land surrounding the house, the village, he didn't tell you? This may be a me thing, but anytime someone mildly elaborates on something to an adult as if they were talking to a child, it's always laced with some level of condescension. So, thanks for further infantilizing Alesia, book. I'm glad you can occasionally be consistent. Also, now Alesia knows. The liar by omission has been revealed. I really don't think this is going to be a big deal at all, though. Like, no mutually established tension has been made on the specific subject of social status. This has all been built out of Maxim's self-imposed paranoia. Alesia may have previously pushed back on Maxim financially spoiling her, but we've seen that to be the limpest of resistance. She has experienced his wealth. What difference would a title make? Not to mention, she has already set Maxim free like 150 pages ago. She can set his mind at ease again. Platitudes go very far here. Oh, wait, no, never mind. I think I was a little overly optimistic. Instead, thanks to that seed planted by one of the sex traffickers, Alesia is now self-conscious that she's a lowly concubine in the eyes of his lordship, that she's only good for one thing. Why did he keep this from her? To toy with her? This has now become such a betrayal. Okay, silver lining though, she's actually mad at him. I'll take it. Maxim deserves all the ire all the time for any reason. He just sucks like that. She digs into the bag she brought, tugs on her signature pink battle panties and her own clothes that Maxim didn't buy. Alesia is resolved to leave, not wanting to be with a man who has deceived her. She has to bounce. Right now. But first, she's got to sneak back to the hideout to retrieve her crucial belongings. Then she's dust in the wind. Hell yeah, let's go! I mean, he did other manipulative stuff too, but again, I'll take this. Now I'm only bummed that they're still gonna inevitably make up and get back together. I like angry Alesia. I want her to stay. Maxim skids his car to a halt at the Great House. He flings his door open and catapults out, desperate to see Alesia. The way this is timed and framed with Maxim's frantic return and Alesia suddenly turning tail to flee, the Mister has straight up transformed into a horror thriller. My anxiety has spiked tenfold. Danny informs him of her little slip up and he's like, bugger, bugger, bugger. I wanted to tell Alesia, but she's had such a scare today and now she's angry. He rushes to Alesia's bedroom and she's gone. Now this maniac bellows her name. His voice echoes as he storms the halls. There's more tension at this moment than when the sex traffickers were prowling around the hideout back in part 7. Alesia! Run! Maxim paces the halls, throws open each door, all while flanked by his dogs. How is this romantic angst? I am terrified for Alesia right now. Ah! Meanwhile, this mopey dopey went and got herself lost in the manor. Oh my She's tangled up amongst all the statues and paintings and tapestries and some suits of armor holding pikes and Naba Pike girl, this is a test of your reflexes on the ding dong that is going to find you at this rate. Alesia stops at the top of a grand staircase as her eye catches on a large family portrait. Alongside it, the family crest that doubles as the symbol of Albania. She then hears traces of her name echoing down the hall. My heart is racing. This is awful. As that kind of a distraction gives way to hesitation. So now Maxim closes in. A nearby grandfather clock chimes the hour, and she can hear this motherfucker's footsteps bolt toward her. What should she do? Ah! Alesia grips some eagle ornament at the corner of the staircase as some double doors nearby burst open. There he is, with the dogs. We switch to his perspective as he spots her on such a high alert. I wonder why. The first thing this does is frown, for he immediately notices that she's dressed in her original clothes. His senses heighten in response, telling himself to tread warily, dude. He says to her, "There you are. Where are you going?" Oh, please tell me this setup gives y'all the heebie-jeebies too. Since he has the dogs with him, she can't just throw him down the staircase and flee. Alesia is outnumbered, at a tactical disadvantage, and he's gonna wrap her around his finger again, and I hate it here. Granted, she once again gives resistance the good old college try, and nonchalantly says that she's leaving. He knows why. So Maxim talks calmly, apologizing first, but Alessia's iron walls are up. She understands he must have kept his identity from her because she's merely his cleaner. And he's like, no, 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 as he stalks toward her. Their commotion attracts Danny, Jesse, and some other guy, all of whom are shooed away by Maxim. He says, "This is why I didn't want to bring you here. There are just too many people." He didn't want to intimidate her with all of this. And he wanted to keep her to himself. Alesia says that one of the traffickers had called her his concubine, and God, she's opening herself up to conversation. Oh, it is so over for her. Big rip, pour one out for her, lads. He has cleared his diplomacy check, no doubt due to OP authorial bias. Their reconciliation is inevitable by the end of this chapter. Why did she have to get caught and tamed like this? I hate it here! So, he's now within arm's reach, using all his English gentlemanly restraint to not yoink her into his arms. He's all, "No, we don't do concubines in the 21st century. You'd totally be my girlfriend if we were to define our relationship. You're so bright and talented and free to make your own decisions." She says she's not, and she's right, but not for the reasons she thinks. He says, "But you are here." And given all the previous subtext along with Maxim's internalized opinions, you could tack on, "You know, in a civilized country," and it wouldn't be out of his scope. Anyway, in accordance to romance novel conventions, whenever there's a kind of third act breakup, the male main character would, at times, grovel to earn back the female main character's affection. That's what the rest of this chapter is. He's sorry for not revealing his noble title, but that doesn't mean they're unequal as human beings. He totally can't actually keep her against her will, but he begs her to at least stay until she knows where she'd want to even go. He's not ashamed of her, but he actually loves her. He has his trademark shit-eating grin as he stands with his arms wide open, and Alesia hesitantly steps into the embrace. The Final Fantasy victory fanfare plays in this loser's head as he buries his nose in her hair like he's Claude Frollo. "My love," he whispers. Blah! He assures her that the sex traffickers are gone and will never harm her again. He shouldn't have left her alone, but he's got her now. She weeps and says that she loves him, and the chapter ends, and we're only 71% into this, so there's still so much garbage to sift through. This book. Chapter 23 resumes the schmaltzy bullshit. Maxim's all doe-eyed like, "You love me? Since when?" And it was all the way back when he first gave her his umbrella. He's like, "I felt so good about that. Your wet footprints were all over my hall. So, you're not gonna leave me after all?" Okay, that's a weird self-congratulatory response, you creep. But once again, the conflict is swiftly resolved. Maxim's love isn't going anywhere, and they kiss. Ugh. The kiss is intense and they're getting horny off each other, but she's been through hell, so he's gotta restrain himself. Maxim confesses that he hasn't been Earl long enough to process it himself, so he wasn't ready to admit it out loud and make it real. Excuses. Danny calls out that the doctor has arrived to examine Alesia. A page is spent on small talk, and Alesia and Maxim grinning at each other while the doctor stares at her side. The verdict, nothing's cracked, take some aspirin, she'll live.
Yippee!
After they escort the doctor out, Maxim shows Alesia his grand piano. And it's a grand piano, it's not his penis. This time. She's super giddy, plants her butt down, and busts out her favorite Chopin prelude, Raindrop. Oh no, not Chopin too! Like, stop name-checking my favorite composers! Jesus, if one of these chuckle busts out any of my two favorite pieces of music, I'm gonna make a new giving a card just to yeet that makeshift paper shuriken into Maxim's skull. Leave a Strom number 3 and Arabesque number 1 must be protected from the cesspit at all costs. Maxim takes pride in Alesia's performance. Danny and Jesse sneak in to catch some of it and sneak out as soon as they get their applause in. Alesia thanks Maxim for saving her, yet again, and he's all, "You've saved me in ways I can't fathom." He leaves her to play to her heart's content as he regroups with Oliver about the burgled flat. Then he checks in with his bro, Tom, who is still looking out for Magda and her son. Then Caroline calls, and he is so inconvenienced by this. She's like, "Why have you been ignoring me?" And he responds, "Sorry, been a little preoccupied with events." What events? The burglary? Wait, how the hell does she know about that? Maxim doesn't think to question Caroline, instead says that he promises to fill her in once he returns to London. She sounds like she's been sobbing, so he is not looking forward to the visit. But never mind that, it's a problem for future him. Right now, it's lunchtime with Alesia. Whee! She's in the middle of Beethoven's Tempest when he collects her. We learn that there are other instruments in the music room that all belong to our British Partridge family. Marianne on cello, Maxim on guitar, their father on double bass, and Kit on the drums. Turns out Kit's been a nickname this whole time, 'cause he was a demon on the drum kit. Ugh. No, you are not getting this from me. No. No, get out of here with that book. The exit is over there. Please see yourself out with this nonsense. I can't believe you got me with that stupid. Oh my god. Okay. All right. This is one time. Anyway, Kit's real name was Christopher. They go to the family library for lunch. Maxim warns Alesia that his grandfather was a real Egyptian fanboy, and wow, he was not exaggerating. Maxim holds out a chair for Alesia, and she feels like the noblewoman Donika Castrioti, the wife of Skanderbeg, Albania's 15th century hero. How specific. Thanks for the fun fact. Maxim takes humor at how his grandfather worked with Lord Carvenon and Howard Carter in excavating many Egyptian sites and stealing their artifacts. Maybe I should give them back. That used to be Kit's problem. Yeah, maybe you should. They're served their food and wine, have a toast, and Maxim tells her the correct order to use the cutlery. End of chapter 23. Chapter 24 picks up right after lunch. They take the dogs out for a stroll along some other shoreline. Alesia marvels at a herd of grazing deer nearby. Once again, Maxim can't believe how cute Alesia is despite the dreadful morning she's had. She's so stoic. That's not quite the word I'd go with, considering her emotional state has done multiple cartwheels up to this point. He asks something that has supposedly been on his mind. Something I myself never really cared enough to question. Why was Alesia so quick to run and not argue with him about the whole noble identity thing? Bruh, with masterful manipulators like Maxim, sometimes it's easier to run. I know an unwinnable battle when I see one. But Alesia says that she was hurt and is used to bolting at trouble, cause, you know, and it has become instinct to her now. He says, understandable, can't imagine that terror, but you can't run every time we have a problem. Talk to me, ask me questions about anything. I'm here. I'll listen. Argue with me, shout at me. I'll argue with you, shout at you. I'll get it wrong, you'll get it wrong. That's all okay. But to resolve our differences, we have to communicate. Listen, that is a sound sentiment in a vacuum. But coming from an E.L. James love interest, it's gaslighting. At the end of the day, James needs her heroes to always be in the right. So these words ring hollow when I know that the female main character is just gonna bend the male lead's whim every time. But, okay, let's continue to have Alesia try and argue her way against a brick wall. We can give ease for effort. She looks anxious for a fleeting moment, and Maxim proposed that they live together. Of course, to him, it's with marriage in mind. She says yes, and they tongue each other right there at the beach. She comes on to him, and he's all, baby, no, you've just been through a horrible ordeal. But hey, we gotta respect our horny girl's sexual agency. So they jog back to the house. In Maxim's chambers, a fire has already been lit. Maxim triple, quadruple checks if Alesia is still down for sex. Are you sure you're not in shock from this morning? But she says she's only shocked that he actually loves her. To which he grins and presses his erection against her hip, his eyes alive with carnal humor. Oh, Erica, no! What is with this? Girl, your characters are in jeans and jumpers, not breeches and plissés. Or is this just the language of middle-aged British women? Oh, she sure knows how to make me feel young. I'll give her that much. Maxim asks if she's gonna undress him and urges her to go on. This sequence is long and so drawn out to set the mood. I've said this before and I'll say it again. In the hands of a better writer and storyteller, I'd totally eat this meal up. I've read this exact kind of scene in a fanfic and went feral over it. Do you know how sensual the act of taking someone's boot off can be? I promise, guys, I am not so completely unmoved by romance and sex scenes like every video I have ever done seems to depict. I am in fact susceptible to well-paced love stories. Oh, I'm gonna have to prove that one of these days. Holy hell though, does this undressing go on for a long while? Then they get in bed. Maxim repeats for the dozenth time how he almost lost her today. Truly, this broken record won't shut the f up about that, and oh, maybe they should just take a nap instead. Like, at this point, Alesia should just slam herself down onto his cock, if only to buy all of us a few precious seconds of his stunned silence. Instead, she wants to touch him and he encourages her. And seriously, I know this is an intimate moment, but can she shove a sock or two into his mouth? She makes it down to his dick and he instructs her on his preferred way to be handled. Then they After a few rounds, they shoot the shit about music in relation to her synesthesia. To her, Raindrop is full of greens, whereas Maxim's composition is solemn, filled with blues and grays. Alesia then initiates round 42. There's no real cohesion at the moment, just instances of rest vignettes in between today's sexcapades. Just like that one chapter where they literally around all day. Alesia's finally worn out, and Maxim adds another log to the fire. He's not felt this degree of peace since Kit died, ... In fact, I can't remember ever feeling this way. Oh my god. After publishing 6 books, how are you still like this? Okay. I'll just leave it to all y'all viewers to pick your favorite Maxim's at peace moment. I promise there are plenty to choose from. I myself will go with the time Alesia set his heart free by playing his composition. It is a staple classic right at this point. He says they should return to London tomorrow to check on the flat. Alesia mentions that she wants to go to work so she won't be a kept woman, but Maxim insists she wait until she's a legal citizen so she won't have to risk deportation. She doesn't even consider how long that could take. He cheers her up by saying she should think of him taking care of her for a little while as a redistribution of wealth, and she somehow cracks the same "oh how socialist of you" gag that he did at himself back in part 6. Oh, the repetition in this book. Girl, get some new material already. Alesia insists that he at least still pay her to clean. But now she's safe with him, and they love each other. Perhaps fortune is finally ringing in her favor. End of chapter 24. I gotta say, this book finally did bring out some genuine moments of dread with chapter 22. James needs to realize that she has a latent talent in stalker horror thrillers. She just needs to let go of her bias toward her male leads and actually like her female ones. But way to snatch my fleeting sense of hope regarding Alesia's freedom. Now we're all stuck enduring this long-ass slow crawl of a bad end. 3 down, 3 to go.